Hi guys, this is Vineet and I welcome you to this video. Today's video topic is how to enable indexes and constraints in SQL Server. Guys, if you have not subscribed to this channel or if you are new to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe immediately. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. The reason I'm asking you to subscribe is because I don't want you to miss any of the videos that I will be posting in upcoming 10 to 15 days on indexes. So that's the reason I am asking you to subscribe. So please go ahead and subscribe right away. So I hope guys you have subscribed by now. And guys, if you haven't watched the previous video where I have discussed on and demonstrated on how you can disable the indexes on SQL Server tables, please go ahead and watch out that video before you can proceed with this video. So alright, let's move ahead. I hope you have subscribed by now. There are some points to remember while watching this video. Please watch this video till the end to gain better clarity of the concept. And if it's possible for you, please watch this video twice or as many times as you want until the concept gets clear to you. Perform any exercises in your test and lab environments only. Do not touch any production environment or production databases. And we would like to know your thoughts regarding our video, so please do share in your comments with us guys. We eagerly wait for your comments and would love to read the same. We have created some playlists for you to watch. Some of our SQL Server playlists are SQL Server database design, tables, business continuity, indexing, performance tuning, integration services, and Transact-SQL playlists. And if we talk about this video pertains to the SQL Server indexing category, and which has almost around 12 videos at present. And my channel page link is given at the bottom of this slide. And if we talk about the total videos posted on our channel, they are around 230 videos, more than 230 videos. And the list is growing. And once I will reach the 250 videos mark, I will let you know about that. If we talk about the links for all these playlists and my channel page link, these links are available in the video description area. So please check the video description area for this video to get the links to go to a particular playlist. The reason why we create playlist for you is because playlists are the best way to learn. We feel that. And basically, for example, if we want to learn about the SQL Server indexing area, what we would recommend is go to the SQL Server indexing playlist and watch out all the videos from starting till the end to get better grasp on the SQL Server indexing area. Now let's come back to today's topic, which is how you can enable the indexes and constraints in SQL Server if your indexes are in disabled state. So let's discuss this topic, how to enable indexes in SQL Server. So once your index is disabled, it always remain in disabled state until it is rebuilt or dropped. So we need to rebuild the indexes in order for them to enable them if they are in disabled state. Now there are some limitations and restrictions, so let's discuss upon them. Rebuilding a disabled cluster index. So here we are talking about the cluster index. If we are rebuilding a disabled cluster index, this rebuilding cannot be performed when the online option is set to on. So earlier we talked that cluster indexes can be rebuilt only in the offline mode and not in the online mode. So we need to make sure that we are not rebuilding a cluster index in online mode. Basically, online option should not be set to on while we are building the disabled cluster index. Now let's move on to second point, which is when the cluster index is disabled or enabled and the non-cluster index is disabled, the cluster index section has the following result on the disabled non-cluster indexes. So let's discuss this table. We are talking about a table where we both have a clustered and the non-cluster indexes, and we are talking about the actions that we take on cluster indexes and its effect on the non-cluster indexes. So we are talking about that. So let's talk about the first action we take on the cluster index. So if we perform an alter index rebuild statement to rebuild the cluster index, and if your non-cluster index is disabled, already in disabled state, it will remain in a disabled state if we use the alter index rebuild statement to rebuild the cluster index. Now instead, if we use the alter index all rebuild statement, in that case, all your cluster indexes as well as the disabled non-cluster indexes will get re-enabled. Third option is if we perform the drop index statement on the cluster index. In those scenarios, your disabled non-cluster index will remain in the disabled state. Fourth operation is if we are executing a command create index with drop existing. So here we are rebuilding a cluster index by dropping an existing cluster index. So in that case as well, your disabled non-cluster indexes will remain in the disabled state. Let's discuss the next point. So allowed actions on non-cluster indexes associated with the cluster indexes depend upon the state, whether disabled or enabled, of both index types. So basically here we are talking about the actions on the non-cluster indexes that are associated with the cluster index. The action depends upon the state, whether the indexes are disabled or enabled for both the index types. And let's discuss the following table which summarizes these actions. So in this table, we are talking about the action we are taking on the non-cluster index and its effect when both the clustered and non-cluster indexes are disabled, and its effect when cluster index is enabled and the non-cluster index are either of the state, whether disabled or enabled. So let's talk about first action. If we are executing an alter index rebuild statement on a non-cluster index, and if both the clustered and non-cluster indexes are disabled, this action will fail. The reason why it will fail because your cluster index is disabled, and if your cluster index is disabled, we cannot rebuild the non-cluster index to enable it. Let's talk about the second scenario when the cluster index is enabled. That fulfill our first criteria. So your cluster index should be enabled if you want to rebuild any non-cluster indexes. So that fulfills the first criteria. And if your non-cluster index is either in the disabled or enabled state, that's fine. Your action will succeed if you issue an alter index rebuild statement on the non-cluster index. Your action will succeed in case your cluster index is enabled. Now let's talk about the next action, which is drop index. Basically, we are dropping the non-cluster index. And if your cluster index is disabled and your non-cluster index is also disabled, this action will succeed. You will be able to drop the index on the non-cluster index. However, let's talk about the situation where your cluster index is enabled and the non-cluster index is disabled. In that situation as well, you will be able to drop the non-cluster index, so your action will succeed. Now let's talk about the third operation, which is creating index by dropping an existing index. Here we are talking about the non-cluster index. This action will fail when your cluster index is disabled and the non-cluster index is disabled, because in order to create a non-cluster index, your cluster index should be enabled. But if in case your cluster index is disabled, you cannot execute this statement create index with drop existing against the non-cluster index. So this action will fail. In case your cluster index is enabled, then yeah, this action will succeed. So this is the gist of the table. Please go through this table again to get better clarity. Now last point is when rebuilding disabled compressed non-cluster indexes. Whenever you are rebuilding a disabled compressed non-cluster indexes, data compression will default to none. So we will lose the data compression metadata whenever you are building a compressed non-cluster index. So it means that indexes will be uncompressed as a result. And this is basically due to compression settings metadata get lost when non-cluster indexes are disabled. So whenever you disable the non-cluster indexes, you will lose on the compression settings metadata. And whenever you rebuild, your index will be created as a uncompressed index. And to work around this situation, you must explicitly specify data compression at the time of rebuilding the indexes. Now let me cover 8 of the demos. First we will cover the demos via the SQL Server Management Studio, and these demos are on how you can disable a single index, not disable, but how you can enable a single index and how you can enable all the indexes in one go via the SQL Server Management Studio. Later on we will show you how you can do the same using the alter index, create index, DBCC DBREINDEX statements, how you can disable single and not disable but enable single index using these alter index, create index and DBCC DBREINDEX statements. How you can enable all indexes using the alter index and DBCC reindex statement. So let me take you through the demo of these statements. Let's go to SQL Server The database we are using here is MyAdventureWorks, and the table we were working with earlier is human resources.employee table. Let's go to that table and expand the table. Under that we have indexes section, so expand on that. So first of all, in order to enable the indexes, let me first of all go ahead and disable all the indexes. So in order to disable the indexes, what you need to do is right click on the indexes section and click on disable all. It will open up a dialog box which will list all the indexes that will get disabled. So make sure the index names are correct. So one is the cluster index, rest 5 of them are non-cluster indexes. Let's disable all of them because we want to enable them one by one. So once your cluster index gets disabled, so it is giving us a warning if your cluster index will get disabled, you will lose access to the table. So that is okay. Let's click do yes to all. So right now I will not be able to select any data from this row, this table, because your cluster index is disabled, is in disabled state right now. So we got the error message whenever when I executed the select statement to select top 1000 rows from this table. So the query processor is unable to produce a plan because it is saying that this cluster index is disabled. So cluster indexes need to be in enabled state if you want to select data from the table, and once you disable the cluster index you will lose access to the table. Let me close this and let's execute a new query. Now the first example is via the SSMS, so let's not open up a query. So here I will show you how you can. So let's go to first example where I'm using the SQL Server Management Studio to enable a single disabled index. So to enable a disabled index, what we can do is you need to be in the Object Explorer. Your database must be expanded. For you, it must be AdventureWorks 2022 database if you have installed correctly. I had renamed that database to MyAdventureWorks earlier. So for my case, it's MyAdventureWorks, but ideally it should be AdventureWorks 2022 for you. Under that, you need to expand the table section. Under that, you will find the human resources.employee table. You need to expand that. Under that, you need to expand the indexes section. Now, whatever index you want to enable, you need to right click on that index. So let's enable the cluster index first. So right click on that index and there is a rebuild option. Select the rebuild option. It will open up a dialog box. Just make sure that the index name is correct. So here our index name is correct and it is also saying that it's a cluster index. Now, once you verify that information is correct in the index to rebuild grid, please click on the OK button to rebuild that index. So once the index gets rebuilt, it gets enabled. So let's refresh the indexes section. And now if you right click on this cluster index, you will get the disable option, which means that this index is currently enabled. Alright, so this demo is done. We have shown you how you can enable a single index using the SQL Server Management Studio, how to do that. Now I will take you to second demo, and we are demonstrating basically how to enable all the indexes on a table in a single go. Let me check the other indexes. So yeah, other indexes are disabled because the disable option is grayed out. Let me again disable this cluster index which I've enabled earlier. Let me disable it. So this index is now disabled. Let me refresh the indexes section. So this index is disabled as the disable button is grayed out. The only way to enable this cluster index is to use the rebuild option. But here I want to show you how you can rebuild all the indexes in a single go. So right click on the indexes section. There is an option to rebuild all. So click on the rebuild all button. It will open up a rebuild indexes dialog box. So you need to make sure that your index names are looking correct. If you don't want to rebuild any particular index, you can remove the row by selecting that row and press the delete button on your keyboard to remove that row. Here I want to rebuild all the indexes, all the 6 indexes, including 1 cluster index and 5 non-cluster indexes. So once you verify this information is correct, click on the OK button to rebuild all the indexes. So all the indexes are rebuilt now. We can refresh the section and we can check the index by right clicking on it. So your cluster index is enabled as the disable option is highlighted. Let me check one of the other indexes, which is non-clustered one. So that one is also enabled because disable option is highlighted. So guys, we are done with the demos via the SQL Server Management Studios. I have shown you how you can enable a single index as well as multiple indexes in a single go. Now we will show you using Transact-SQL how you can enable the indexes. So first of all, in order to perform that practical, let me again go ahead and disable all the indexes. So I'm doing a disable all operation on all these indexes. Yes. All right. So right now all our indexes are disabled. We can check that by checking one of the indexes. So our primary cluster index is disabled right now, and we will show you through the Transact-SQL statement how you can enable these indexes. So let me take you to the first practical. In this demo, I will show you how you can enable a disabled index using the alter index statement. So you may write that along with me. We will work on human resources.employee table. So in order to rebuild an index, you need to use the alter index statement. Here we are altering an index. You need to specify the index name. So here our index name will be, we are rebuilding this index, organizational level, organization node. So let's mention the name of that index. It's ix underscore employee underscore organization level underscore organization node. This index is on the human resources dot employee table, so we need to specify the on clause, and after that you need to specify the rebuild option to rebuild this index. That is the statement we need to execute. So let's execute this statement. So it's saying that it is not able to find this object, and that's because the some spelling name are incorrect. Let me check whether the index name spellings are correct. So employee spelling are correct, organization level is correct, and organization node is also correct. Here the database, the schema name is incorrect. So schema name is human resources instead of human resource. Let's try to rebuild it. We will be able to rebuild it successfully now. So it is basically giving us an error message that we cannot enable this index because your cluster index is disabled right now. So what we need to do first is we need to enable the cluster index first before we can enable any non-cluster index. You can go through this message, right? So this message is indicating that cannot alter the non-cluster index. Index name is this on this table because its cluster index is disabled. So cluster index we need to enable it first before you can enable any non-cluster indexes. So let's specify the name of the cluster index, so which is pk underscore employee underscore business entity id is the cluster index name. And you can check the cluster whether the index is clustered or not by taking a look at the bracket values. So this one is the index which is clustered, other are non-clustered. Now let me enable the cluster index first. So I mentioned the index name, rest of the code is same. So first let's enable the cluster index. And then yeah, once your cluster index is enabled, you can enable any non-cluster indexes. So this statement should execute fine now. So this is executed fine, guys. And we are done with this demo. Now let's go to next demo where we will enable a disabled index using the create index statement. All right, so let's work with this index. But instead of using the alter index statement, what we will do, we will use the create index statement where we will drop an existing index. After writing the create index statement, you need to specify the index name. So here I'm taking the IX employee organization level organization node index. And once you specify that index, you need to again specify on which table does it exist. Table name is human resources.employee table. And you need to specify the with clause, and we want to drop an existing index. So once we drop an existing index and create a new index, it will basically enable the index as well. So this statement also serves the purpose of enabling the index. If we drop an existing index and create a new one by using the with drop existing equal to on clause, we will basically re-enable this index indirectly. So let's execute this statement to see if it works. So basically we have not specified we need to specify the columns on which we want to rebuild the index as we are creating a new index altogether, because create index statement is used to create a new index, although it is dropping existing, but in fact it is creating a new index. So you need to specify the column names here. So we are creating index on the columns organizational level and the organization node. These are the two columns I am using to create the index on. This statement should execute fine. Looks good to me. Let's execute it. I hope the naming convention all are correct. Let's try to execute it. It should execute now. So Yeah, again, the column names are duplicate. We have used organization level 2 times. The next column should be a organizational note, which is the correct column. So correct the columns and execute the statement. So the two columns which we are building index on is the organization level and the organization note. Let's execute it. This should execute fine now. So our index is now recreated and it is enabled now. Alright, so guys, we are done with this demo. In this demo, I have shown you how you can use the create index statement to create a new index altogether by dropping an existing index, which is basically indirect version of to enable the existing index. Basically, existing index is dropped and a new index is created with the same name. And you need to specify the columns. And when the new index is created, it will be in the enabled state. Now let's move on to next demo where we will use the DBCC DBREINDEX statement to enable one of the indexes. We will use the same index. So first of all, let's disable this index. So let's refresh the indexes section and we'll work on the same index, organization level, organization note. So right click on it and disable this index. Let's disable it. So this index is now disabled. We can refresh the indexes section to check on this index. Right click on this index and right now it is disabled because the disable option is not highlighted. Now what I will do, I will take you to another demo where I will use the DBCC reindex statement. So the statement is DBCC DB reindex statement. Make a note of it. It's DB reindex, not just reindex, but DB reindex. So use this function DBCC DB reindex statement, and in columns you need to specify, first of all you need to specify the table name, so which is human resources dot employee table. You need to specify that in double quotes, and next you need to specify the index name, and that can be without the double quotes. So just copy the index name, put it there, and yeah, that's it. You need to execute this command to re-enable that index. So let me select this command and execute it quickly. So this command is completed, and if we refresh the indexes section and now if we check on this index, ix underscore employee underscore organization level underscore organization note, right click on it. Now we are getting the disable option. So which means that this statement has re-enabled the index. Alright guys, so we are done with this demo. Now what we will show you is how you can enable all the indexes using the alter index statement. So first of all, before doing that, let me disable all the indexes first. So let's disable all of them. Yes. All right. So all of the indexes are disabled now. So let me now show you a demo where you can enable all the indexes on a table using the alter index statement. So let's do alter index. And after that, you need to specify the all clause to enable all the indexes. And you need to specify the on clause and specify the table name where you want to rebuild all the indexes. So our table name is human resources dot employee. This is the table name, and after that you need to specify the rebuild option. So this is the total code you need to execute in order to rebuild or re-enable all the indexes. So let's execute this. Now all our indexes are enabled and as they are rebuilt. So let's refresh the indexes section and let's check one or two indexes. So let's check the cluster index. It is currently enabled because disable option is highlighted. Let's check one more. Let's check the organization level index. It is also showing us the disable option, which means it is enabled. Let's move on to next demo, which is the last demo of this video. Here we will show you how you can enable all indexes on the table using the DBCC reindex statement. So first of all, let me go ahead and disable all the indexes. So let's disable all of them. So all the indexes are disabled now. Now what we will show you is we will use the DBCC reindex statement. After that, you need to specify in brackets. First of all, you need to specify the table name. So our table name is human resources dot employee is the table name. And after that, you need to specify a comma and you need to put a blank inside double quotes. And this is the statement to re-enable all the indexes. So let's execute this statement. So it is saying that this is the format is incorrect. So it's not reindex statement. Again, I'm reiterating it's DB reindex statement. So I've put DB. I've appended DB word to reindex statement. Now let's execute this statement. This should execute fine now. So this is executed fine and our all indexes should be re-enabled now. So let me refresh and check our indexes are enabled. So the cluster index is enabled. The non-cluster index is disabled. Let's check one more. This is also enabled. Let's check this one. This one is also enabled. So guys, we are done with this video, and basically this statement can also DBCC DBREINDEX statement can also be used to re-enable all the indexes. So guys, we are done with this video. Let me take you back to slide. I hope you like the content of this video and have enjoyed watching the practicals, and I hope you have also done the practicals as well while watching them. If not, please go ahead and do so in your lab environments. And if you really like the content and practicals of this video, please go ahead and click the like button, which is coming below this video. And guys, if you are new to this channel or if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my upcoming videos. The reason I'm telling you to subscribe is because I don't want you to miss on any of the videos that I will be creating in next 15 days on the indexing topic. I don't want you to miss on any of the indexing videos. So please go ahead and subscribe right away. There is a subscribe button below. Click on that subscribe button and follow the process. Let me give you 5 seconds to subscribe so that you can do that right away. I'm waiting. Please go ahead. So guys, I hope you must have subscribed by now. All right, guys, do post in your comments to us. We eagerly wait for your comments and would love to read the same. And guys, if you have good network of friends and if they are also working in SQL Server domain, please ask them to join my channel so that they can watch really useful videos. And you may also share my videos with them via the YouTube share button. To share my videos on any of the social media platforms, you can do that. I thank you so much for your time on this video today, guys, and you have a wonderful day ahead.